Sergeant Daniel Hayes wiped the sweat off his brow as the scorching desert sun beat down on him. The air was thick with the scent of dust and gunpowder. It was 2006, and he was stationed in Fallujah, Iraq, a place where peace seemed like a distant dream. His unit had been patrolling the outskirts of the city, their boots crunching against the debris of war-torn streets. Daniel had seen his fair share of battles, but this one felt different. Intelligence reports had suggested insurgent activity in the area, and the tension among his men was palpable. Every shadow seemed like an ambush, every abandoned building a potential trap. The war had stolen many things from him: his sleep, his peace of mind, and most painfully, his best friend, Corporal Mike Reynolds, who had died in an explosion just weeks ago. As the squad advanced cautiously, a sudden explosion shook the ground, throwing Daniel off his feet. His ears rang as he scrambled for cover, adrenaline surging through his veins. The ambush had begun. Gunfire erupted from all directions, bullets whizzing past like deadly whispers. Daniel barked orders, his voice barely audible over the chaos. He fired back, taking cover behind a crumbling wall. His heart pounded, but his mind remained focused. Minutes felt like hours as the firefight raged on. One by one, his men pushed forward, securing the area. When the gunfire finally ceased, the aftermath was grim. Several insurgents lay lifeless, but so did two of Daniel's men. He clenched his fists, forcing back the grief. There was no time to mourn, not yet. As they secured the area, Daniel's eyes fell upon a young boy, no older than 10, peering out from behind a broken-down truck. His small frame trembled with fear. Daniel lowered his weapon and approached cautiously. "It's okay, kid," he said softly, kneeling to the boy's level. "You're safe now." The boy hesitated before stepping closer, his eyes filled with a mix of fear and curiosity. Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a granola bar, offering it to him. The boy took it hesitantly, his fingers brushing against Daniel's gloved hand. For a brief moment, in the midst of chaos, humanity shone through. That night, back at the base, Daniel pulled out a small, worn notebook. It was filled with letters he had written to his wife, Emily, but never sent. He knew she worried about him, staying up late watching the news, praying for his safety. He wanted to tell her everything: the fear, the loss, the moments of hope, but some things were too heavy to put into words. He flipped to a fresh page and began to write. "My dearest Emily, today was another hard day. We lost 2 good men. I wish I could tell you that it gets easier, but it doesn't. Every loss feels like a piece of my soul is being chipped away. I saw a boy today, barely 10 years old, caught in the middle of this madness. It reminded me why we're here, to protect those who cannot protect themselves. But sometimes I wonder if we're making a difference or just adding to the destruction. I miss you. I miss home. I miss the way you laugh when I tell terrible jokes, the way you hum while making coffee in the morning. I keep telling myself that when this is over, I'll come home, and we'll live the life we always dreamed of. Hold on to that dream for me, Em. It's what keeps me going. Love, Daniel." He closed the notebook, staring at the worn pages filled with unsent letters. He knew he might never get the chance to say these words out loud, but writing them made him feel closer to her, even if she was thousands of miles away. Days turned into weeks, and the battles continued. Each mission was a gamble with fate. Some nights, Daniel found solace in the stars, wondering if Emily was looking at the same sky, thinking of him. The war had changed him, but he held on to the hope that one day he would walk through their front door, wrap her in his arms, and leave the war behind. But fate had other plans. During a routine patrol, an IED exploded beneath their vehicle. The blast was deafening. Daniel felt himself being thrown, his body slamming into the ground. Pain shot through him as he struggled to move, but darkness quickly consumed his vision. He awoke in a hospital bed, surrounded by the sterile scent of antiseptics. His body ached, and his head throbbed. A nurse approached, her expression filled with both relief and sympathy. "Sergeant Hayes, you're lucky to be alive." Lucky. The word felt foreign. He had survived, but at what cost? The war had taken more than just time. It had taken pieces of him that he could never reclaim. Months later, Daniel found himself back home, standing on the porch of his house in Texas. His heart pounded as he knocked on the door. It swung open, and there she was, Emily, her eyes brimming with tears. No words were needed. He pulled her into his arms, holding her as if she might disappear. Later that night, as he sat on their couch, Emily handed him a box. "These came for you while you were gone," she said softly. Daniel opened it to find the letters he had written, but never sent. Confused, he looked at her. "One of your men found them after the explosion and sent them to me," she explained. He ran his fingers over the familiar pages, each word a reminder of the man he was before the war. With a deep breath, he pulled out a pen and a fresh sheet of paper. This time, he would send the letter.